did the Department of Public Enterprises give you any reasons why it missed the deadline to pay the 10 billion rand needed to fund the business rescue plan?
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the viewers. Well, no, they really haven't, as far as what I'm aware of, at any rate. We did not get an explanation. In terms of what happened, for example, at the creditors' meeting, the creditors simply advised, the BRPs rather, the business rescue practitioners at SAA simply advised the creditors that they had received a letter from government where DPE and Treasury had said that they would mobilize for funding, and that within the next 7 days they're hoping to get this funding. So it was on the basis of that that's how we found out about this delay. And really, I think if you consider that we're dealing here with a strategic asset, and the fact that the business rescue process was announced way back in December, it's quite disgraceful that we are still at this point, 9 months in, and we still don't know, or the question of funding is something that has yet to be answered.
Picketed, as you rightly say, the months have passed. This process has been delayed yet again. You've given government 7 days to come up with the money. That deadline is then next Friday, the 25th of September, if I'm correct. Do you think that, given that government has been unable to secure funding over the past few months, that a week will be helpful?
We certainly hope so. There is so much at stake here. We're talking livelihoods at stake here. The growth of the South African tourism and aviation industry is at stake here. This is what the purpose of a state-owned entity is. The purpose of a state-owned entity is to assist in building various sectors with a goal of helping to build the economy. And SAA was playing that role. And if they fail to secure this funding, it'll basically mean that SAA will be facing liquidation or winding down. And that really, in our view, is a situation that we cannot allow to happen because of the major impact that it will have on all of us.
So you've threatened protest action if government does not comply. What form will that protest action take?
Well, we've said that we definitely are going to engage in more protest action if we feel that we are not getting the kind of response that's required. But also, I mean, given that yesterday DPE did issue a letter where they did say that they would mobilize for funding, and that as far as they are concerned, liquidation is not on the table. So that's something that gives us hope. But we are cautiously optimistic because this is not the first deadline that's been missed. And so one of the other things that we also have is that we have informed government of our intention to go to the High Court if SAA should ever be liquidated. Because as far as we're concerned, it is protected through the legislation as a state-owned entity, just like a municipality, and cannot simply be liquidated, at least certainly not without Parliament getting involved. And that's something that we will pursue as an alternative if this process fails.
So, as you say, if funding cannot successfully be secured and liquidation turns out to be an option, are there any circumstances, and what circumstances would those be, under which liquidation would be an acceptable alternative to you?
Liquidation can never be an acceptable alternative, because it's a situation where workers and their families lose everything. You lose all your rights, and you get a once-off payout, which, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's about 23,000 rand. And in a situation where jobs are not being created, unemployment is skyrocketing, you are deepening poverty. And this is why, for us, it cannot even be an option. It is in the interest of this government to find a solution and to fund the restructuring of SAA. The whole purpose of business rescue was to come up with a plan to turn around the airline, make it viable, and reposition it even during these COVID-19 times. There's a plan on the table. It needs to be funded. It's as simple as that. And the legislation even speaks to that, to the fact that the state, as a state-owned entity and shareholder, has a duty to invest in its SOEs.
Phakamile, before I let you go, the past 6 months of restrictions on international travel have perhaps given SAA a reprieve in which to sort out its problems. Now we stand on the eve of the reopening of international travel. Do you see that as a strong indication that we are running out of time?
Absolutely. Our plan, in our discussions with the Department of Public Enterprises within the LCF, we had been pushing as NUMSA and SACCA for SAA to take to the skies as soon as was possible. So as soon as lockdown levels reduced and allowed for that to take place, we said that should have been incorporated in the plan. And we were quite dismayed when the plan had, for example, the fact that SAA will take off next year, because that means that between now and next year, our sovereignty, our airspace will be taken up by other airlines, and that dominance that we actually need in order to rebuild the aviation sector in our country will be taken away. We're going to lose the international, the competitiveness that we need in order to compete internationally. So it's really saddening for us that we still find ourselves here. We're about to get into lockdown level 1, and when the industry starts to take off, it seems we won't be able to participate.
All right, thank you very much for speaking to us. We're going to leave it right there.